So yeah, this episode we got thankful to have Dax Verdia on the show, who runs Dax Snacks. He's a Marine veteran, and I always find myself, Dax, I say this all the time. You probably heard me say it before, but I'm always swimming in a sea of Marines somehow. I'm like the only coastie ever anywhere, but a lot of Marines, which I love. So I'm a big fan of Marines, and
Appreciate it.
uh, and yeah, happy to have you on here. Pretty pumped about it. If you want to start, maybe tell me a little bit about your time in the Marines. You know, how'd you like it? What'd you do? I know you're a reservist still, which is pretty cool.
Well, first, I'd like to thank you for having me. It's a great opportunity and a pleasure to be part of this. And then the second show of your podcast here. I definitely appreciate that. So for me, I'm still in the Marines as a reservist. I just made my 23rd year anniversary about maybe a week ago. And
Congrats.
oddly enough, I've been a reservist my whole career, but I've done a lot of active duty stints throughout my career. It's just kind of worked out where I've gotten opportunities to travel and do different things as a reservist and still do regular lifestyle stuff as a civilian, the jobs that I've had over the years. So I've kind of rolled with it.
That's cool, man. So what do you do in the Marines? What's your job?
Uh, right now I'm a logistics officer, so I'm an officer now. But I started out as enlisted, probably
Okay.
enlisted. Did about 7 years, and then I crossed over to the
The
so-called
dark
dark
side.
side as an officer. But so I'm probably about 15 or so years now as an officer. So
Okay, cool.
it's been a interesting journey so far.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Actually, never
What do you
thought
think is the biggest difference from being enlisted to going the officer route?
definitely responsibility, like the
Yeah.
amount of responsibility, like what I like as being an officer and be able to lead enlisted Marines. I give them freedom of creativity and movement to make decisions to get to the obviously the mission goal. So, but ultimately, when things go bad, I put it on me. When things go well, I definitely give all the credit to the enlisted Marines because, I'm not out there doing the heavy lifting, turning wrenches and stuff like that. So, success comes from them. But I feel like any failure on my part, whether it's a plan or foresee any type of hazards or mistakes, is
Hmm.
definitely I put on my shoulders. So I would say that's the biggest difference.
Interesting. That's pretty cool. It seems like well, like we in the Coast Guard too, we have a lot of officers who are previously enlisted, right? Like every other branch, and it's always one of the things I ask them, like you like it better or worse, or what's the differences? And it seems like the bigger responsibility, and it seems like there's a I don't want to say more respect, but like a different level of respect maybe from the enlisted guys looking to an officer who was enlisted previously. Maybe it's just, like you've been in their boots before kind of thing. So I just thought that was kind of interesting too. Some of my officers, better officers, have been previously enlisted as well. So I think there's probably something a little to that, whether it be
Yeah,
that or
definitely being able to walk, been in those shoes, you can definitely understand the enlisted
yeah.
perspective, and you definitely have a passion and care for them because you've been in the trenches with them. But yeah, even though I'm an officer, I don't mind being out down there and helping out, whatever I can do from the enlisted perspective. Hey, if you need me to, turn some wrenches so you can be more productive somewhere else,
Mhm.
I'm okay with that. So,
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So I guess anybody tuning in who doesn't know how the reserves work, how do the reserves work for the Marines? So it's a weekend a month and 2 weeks a year. Is that the same?
that's the I guess the going saying, but I
Hmm.
guess it varies. So when I joined, I actually wanted to be in the Navy. Funny enough, I'm a big Top Gun fan, so I wanted to be a pilot. So I was like, after high school, I'm just going to be in the Navy.
Yeah.
My parents weren't so thrilled about that, so it was like that's not happening. And I was just, okay, no problem. So I ended up going to school, college for
Mhm.
4 years before I
Okay, cool.
decided, I wanted to join the military. Still, I still had the itch, and at the time, I was like, you know what, Navy is cool, but I want to see what's the hardest branch. And I thought it was the Marine Corps, so I was like, I want to see if I can do it. So I joined the Marines, and I still had the passion to be an officer and being a pilot, but I didn't quite finish my 4 year degree. So I like reserves was the route to go. I could finish my degree, do the
Hmm.
pilot program. So it gave me that flexibility because back then, 2000, they didn't have online classes. So
Sure. Yeah.
so it gave me that flexibility. So basically, at the time, it was when we get month, 2 weeks in the summer. I was in Brooklyn going to my reserve unit, and now as you become more seasoned and you get higher rank. Sometimes you
Mhm.
get promoted out of a job and you have to search the country to find a place to go. So now I'm actually stationed out of New Orleans. Kind of go quarterly, maybe every 3 months, go down there to do my
Okay.
duties. And I still do like the 2 weeks somewhere, depending on what the exercise I got going on, to fulfill that requirement, basic
Cool.
requirement. So yeah.
That's pretty cool. So what's the coolest thing you've done during your Marine experience? Where's it taking you, or what have you done? It sticks
I'd
out.
say the travel has been amazing. So my favorite places that I visited in the Marines would probably be South Korea and Uganda. So I was able to spend over a year in South Korea and about 3 months in Uganda, and actually really, indulge in the culture and live with them and work with them, with their military, and interact with the civilians, enjoy the food and all that other stuff. So
Yeah.
I think that would definitely be the greatest thing.
Interesting. I was just about to ask you, how's the food in those two different places?
Hey,
That'd be
Korea is
wild.
definitely my number one. Like
Yeah.
Korean barbecue is just
Oof.
amazing. Like, I would go there every weekend. Go to there. They
Hmm.
they you try to cook it, and then like if you mess it up, they just push you away. Like show you how to not overcook it. They throw in all the extra vegetables and stuff like that. You have the
Hmm.
little wraps, and it's just
That's
so
pretty cool.
tasty.
So in South Korea they have you do it like I've been to it in New York City where they have you cook it yourself. They do the same thing over there. That's pretty big.
Yeah, basically you're like in a
Okay.
booth and has like a stove right in the middle of the
Hmm.
table, and you order your pork and your beef, whatever it is that you're into, and
Sure.
you kind of just cook it there right in front of you. But they see
That's
that you're
pretty
not
cool.
not experienced, and they'll kind of take over and make sure you get the right
Yeah.
experience.
Interesting. What kind of food was Uganda?
Uganda is like that more like home, comfort type of food. So their staple is more like plantains, band, and stuff like that.
Okay.
But we were on like their military base, and their food, they always had fresh meals for all three meals: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So they would cook the plantains in the morning with the meat, whatever it is, and you
Gotcha.
just constantly got like home cooked meals with the
That's cool.
vegetables and everything. So definitely more of that like comfort type food.
That's pretty great. You guys, the Marines call what Chow Hall DFAC, is that right? The DFAC? Is that you
Yeah,
guys?
that's the type of what they call a defense facility, or I forgot
Something
what
like that.
it stands
Oh,
for, but yeah,
okay.
DFAC. But Chow
Gotcha.
Hall is obviously the more
Yeah, I
you
gotcha.
know,
Okay, cool. Interesting.
you
We had
got some
we used to
different
host a lot of
terms.
Marines on our ship when I was stationed out in California. We did be doing deployments to Central America a lot, and a lot of like the I guess secret squirrel type Marines would be on there with us. And I always loved hosting them because they'd always come up and tell me or my cooking crew and team, like, your guys' food is awesome. Your guys' food is great. Like, I love your guys' food. And they'd be pumped and come back for more. And the rest of my crew, they're so used to it, because we're maybe 150, 200 people on our ship when the Marines might have, 1,000 or 2,000 or more on an aircraft carrier, for instance, wherever they're at. So I always enjoyed having the Marines on, as well as the Navy guys. They're
Yeah, I
always my
enjoyed
biggest
ship life.
fans.
I was able to enjoy ship life early in my
Cool.
career as enlisted in 2000, 2004 on a Navy ship going to
Okay.
South America, actually. So
Oh, nice.
definitely good times where you just, they work hard. The Navy people, the cooks and the firemen, and clean the ship. We just got to
Yeah,
enjoy the food, working out, and sleeping
nice.
on the ship.
Man, I still never slept better than on a ship. I'll tell you that. Rocks you to sleep.
Yeah, I never had any seasickness, but yeah, it's
That's
definitely
good. Yeah, we used to have some guys get seasick as soon as they leave the pier, but not me, thankfully. But all right, cool. So tell me about DAC Snacks. So you're a Marine startup DAC Snacks. What was the first thought? How'd that kick off?
I guess a little bit of backstory is definitely not something I planned to do. I just was messing around in my kitchen. I had this house here I bought. It's like, what can I do in here? And it's like, I'm a big into health and fitness, so I like working out, I like physically fit, but I definitely have a thing for like sweets. So I wanted to be able to enjoy working out and then have my sweets and not feel like I just, threw out all the hard work I put into my health. So I started messing around with recipes, and I'm not a big fan of peanut butter, so I discovered almond butter. I was like, you know what, what kind of, if you can make something with peanut butter, I'm sure you can make almond butter. So I just kind of tested different recipes and came up with a, decent, basic chocolate chip cookie.
Hmm.
And I think I started this in 2014. So like years ago, I'm just making these cookies just for fun. Start sharing with neighbors and coworkers and whatnot, and they really just got a great feedback. Like, these are really good. You can sell these. I'm like, whatever. It's probably a big thing. I gotta get a license and those.
Huh.
So I got to the point where I just kept getting positive feedback. I was like, you know what, let me give it a shot. So I started doing the farmers market back in 2017. It was actually Super Bowl Sunday. And I did the indoor market, and I just kind of was getting good feedback. I did it for a whole year. And then I got an opportunity to deploy to Korea in 18 and 19. So I took a little bit of a hiatus. And then I got an opportunity to do the Veterans Future Labs entrepreneurial course. It's like, if I'm really going to do this, I might as well equip myself with the knowledge, the business side of actually being able to form a business. So I spent pretty much most of the COVID times between 2020 and 2021 just building up that knowledge base. And then last year kind of went back out there to get the exposure, doing farmers markets again, and just be able to interact and meet people like yourself, Katie Bishop, in Brooklyn with her coffee shop, and getting a lot of good feedback and wanting to hopefully get into stores and exploit that and expand. So
It's great.
it's
Yeah, it's a
a
great
short
story.
story.
And yeah, I was pumped to meet you too through and NYU Veteran Future Labs, great program. Dax and I
Yeah,
both
great.
went through. It's super helpful. I'm doing another one right now called Bunker Labs. That's another great program. 6-month cohort. Just that's helping each other grow their business. So that's cool. It seems like a good amount of businesses kind of happen from kind of like a happy accident, or just doing something that you enjoy. So you enjoy working out and you enjoy eating healthy desserts. So it stemmed out of there. So I feel like that's a good spot to grow a business, right? It just makes sense basically.
Yeah.
Um,
And then, like I said, I'm actually gluten free. I don't have
mhm,
any sensitivities, but they just happen to be gluten free. And then I guess, over the years, gluten free and vegan has become such a important aspect of health and wellness that I'm actually catering to those people. And when you go to stores or you taste gluten-free products, they're not always the
mhm.
best tasting. They might be good for you, but
Yeah,
you
it's
just
like
kind of
chalk.
felt like you're just sacrificing taste for just for your health.
Mhm.
So that's really where my passion has gone to, be able to give those people a really good opportunity to have good treats, and not just not having all the fun that all those that don't have sensitivities or look like they're
Mhm.
enjoying. So I have the same type of pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear you on that one. And a lot of probably about 80 or 90% of my recipes I cook with on Hellman's Kitchen are plant-based. And I've only been eating plant-based for the past 2 years or so. Back when I was in the Coast Guard cooking, never in a million years would have entertained the thought of plant-based or gluten-free or vegan or any of that stuff. Probably was one of those guys who used to make fun of it just because I didn't understand it. But I started trying it one time. My mom went through, she's good now. She went through a bout of breast cancer. So she started trying anti-inflammation diets. And it was like, yo, Steve, like, try, you're a cook, help me out. Like, figure out something that tastes good. All this stuff tastes like chalk or like garbage. And so I started playing around with it, and I enjoyed how I felt. I still eat meat a couple times a week and dairy. Pizza and burgers, I'll never give up, But it's been fun trying it out. So kind of same boat as well.
Yeah, just take a quick opportunity to applaud you on some of your recipes. They're actually really amazing. I do your berry smoothie
Oh,
in the
cool.
morning. Sometimes after my workout, it's really good.
Nice.
I've done that. I forgot the name of the chicken one, but it's like that real marinade. You gotta,
Oh yeah, yeah, sure. It's like the kind of like a Filipino Hawaiian blend
yes,
marinade kind of deal.
that one's really good. That
Cool.
come on top of my head. So
I
yeah,
gotta applaud the other cooks on my ship. They taught me all that kind of cooking, which I loved. I probably cooked with, I don't know, 70% Filipinos or something like that, or Hawaiian cooks, and they taught me all sorts of yummy marinades like that. So I stole that from bits and pieces from them. So thanks
yeah.
guys and girls for teaching me that one. But no, that's cool though. So
Nah,
Dex snacks. So what's like the biggest point of Dex snacks?
Well, I've evolved from the first my regular original chocolate chip cookie, is
Hmm.
my original by name, and I've kind of evolved where I've done some experimentation. So my Jungle Fumble, which is a mixture of white and dark chocolate together, is a very popular one. And if you're just a true lover of chocolate, is the Darker Night is a double dark chocolate with cocoa powder. So I pretty much I think those are like the founding fathers, you would kind of say,
Nice.
of my line. But then as I'm doing these farm markets, I started getting approached by vegan community. They want to enjoy their treats too, and I had to go back and do some research and figure out how I could remove the eggs, which is the only animal product in my cookies, and I replaced it with flaxseed meal. I started with that. It was okay. I did the cookies,
Hmm.
but they weren't really as solid. They were kind of like crumbly.
Mm.
So I had to kind of go back to the drawing board, and I realized chia seeds was a little more better with gelatin than the flaxseed. But then I started getting feedback like these are good, but they taste like a brownie. So I was like, you know what? Let me try to make brownies. So now my vegan line is all brownies and pretty much the same similar products as my originals. And again, the Darker Night, the Jungle Fumble, and probably original are the fan favorites. Get what you want, but I have a couple other ones that evolve, like my oatmeal line. If you have allergic to some chocolate, I got a cranberry and white chocolate that one of my customers was actually a suggestion. So I've actually added that to my line as well. So I have seven
Cool.
total, and then 14 if you add the vegan line. So
Nice. And they're I can be the first name testimony, they're super tasty. When I met you in was probably a year and a half ago or so at one of the NYU Veteran Future Labs, stuffed a bunch of my wife's bag, and I was like, oh hell yeah, we're gonna munch out on these, and they were super good. So that's great to hear. Cool. So how do people buy Dak Snacks cookies? Where you've been going to?
so far, my go-to is the farmers markets. I do that pretty much during the spring summertime because
Hmm.
obviously I have a full-time job as a police officer, so I'm still just kind of crawl, walk, run with my business. My goal is to help me get into stores and gyms and coffee shops and whatnot, and do a lot of word of mouth. Like over the summer, over the winter, I took a break, and I've been just getting flooded with a lot of special orders for like Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthdays, and the people's events. So
Hmm.
so that's pretty much been consistent over the last couple of months since the summer markets ended. So, but yeah, I've been doing a lot of networking and getting in contact with people like Nancy Preston, Milk Money Kitchen. She has a commercial kitchen in the city, and
Hmm.
hopefully that's pretty much where my hurdle is. Once I could get to that commercial kitchen point where I can hire people to do the baking for me, I can
Nice.
solicit, all the stores and venues that I want to hopefully have Dak Snacks be an opportunity, and also have that e-commerce online. So right now I have a landing page at daksnacks.com where you get all the information of my different varieties. And if you're local, I'll do some deliveries, or you can do a pickup or wherever you can. Based on you can DM me on Instagram, Dak Snacks, or Facebook.
Nice. That's perfect. That's great. That's great to hear, man. And you got the perfect name for it too, Dax Snacks. I mean, I'd be like
Yeah.
Stephen Beaven. I don't know. I got nothing. You got a good one on there.
Well, the Hellman's Kitchen is pretty crafty.
No, no,
That's
I
pretty
appreciate
cool.
that.
Yeah.
Cool, man. All right, Dax. Well, that's awesome. Well, it was good having you on episode 2 of the podcast, which is pretty neat. I mean, you get a bunch more vets on here talking about good things they're doing. Um, what? Oh, by the way, what specific farmers markets are you going to for anybody local watching the shows?
So my past farmers market has been Babylon. If you're along local, it's Babylon, and also Tanger outlets up in Deer Park. This year coming, I'm hopefully going to expand a little bit and go to some different ones in Port Jefferson, Patchogue, Bayport. There's a big Argyle Fair, which is in Babylon in September. I'll be there, and yeah, so stay tuned to my Instagram and website to find out where I'm at.
Awesome. All right, cool. Well, thanks for coming on the show, Dax. It was a pleasure as always. I'm sure we'll be in touch again soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right.
Good-